Okay, we're on.
Ready? Cool. I'm with Miley Cyrus backstage on her tour, and all of you who listen to the show know what huge Miley Cyrus fans we are at my house. In fact, when we saw the movie, toward the end, I spent about the last half hour in tears, and I think it was because of watching the Hannah Montana show with my daughters and seeing that the Hannah Montana character was growing up and that you were moving on
Right.
and leaving that behind was just really emotional. And I wonder if you had kind of that same reaction doing that part and filming that.
A little bit, yeah. You know, I thought it was nice to be able to step away from that for a little while, and you know, we always end it, you know, try to end it positively, and we go back to the Hannah character because we still have to have our show. You know, I think it's like so funny because I feel like people maybe when they're older, like they're in their like 20s and 30s, I hope they remember our show and be like, I learned a lot. Like I learned a lot of lessons. I hope people are doing that. You know, when they're teaching things to their kid, I hope they're almost like thinking about our show and like what we taught and what lessons that we had everyone learn, because I really feel like we didn't just do the typical like show thing where it was everything was just funny and fun and games, and we got heavy-hearted sometimes, you know, where we put like real thoughts in, you know, kids' minds and make them really think. So I did feel like somewhat of emotional just because of like all the fans that I've gotten from that character. So I thought it was cool that we went back to it, and I was on the phone with my producers this morning actually talking about the next season. So excited for that, and excited just that, you know, we're keeping the same like premise and the same characters, but we're wanting to add on to it and make it something new, so it's just not the same thing over and over. Like we're excited to bring in new characters.
And on the tour now, when you're out there singing and performing your music as Miley, how thrilling is it? What does it feel like to know that these fans and the new fans you've acquired have followed you along on this journey and are now with you for this next evolution?
It's really, you know what, it really means a lot to me because, you know, when I did my first Miley record, I was like 12, 13 when I started recording it. And so now to look out there, and maybe those people, you know, those kids were like 9, 10 when I was doing that, but now they're where I was and they're listening to music and they understand it from a whole new perspective. So it's really cool as I grow up, so have my fans, and I look out there and I'm starting to see more and more kids my age and older, and but not necessarily less any younger, which is cool that I'm being able to have both. You know, we keep our show is a mature show, but it's not anything where I would say, you know, the parents have to cover their kids' eyes or anything. I feel like we're very just like, you know, get the crowd involved and stuff. And at first people were worried so much towards my brother too, and he's covered in tats, and I think the coolest part about that is you have him who looks the way he does, and he's saying, you know, I look the way I do, and you should respect me and like the art that's on my body, and that I'm beautiful in this skin, you know, just like anyone else is. So I feel like our whole show is just like something for people to, you know, learn from and watch, and it's a cool show. It's not just like anything else.
So I surveyed a bunch of your fans and said if you could ask Miley some questions, what would they be? And here's one of them. In what ways is your life like a typical teenager? Like, what is school like for you?
Right.
Do you have a curfew, and what chores do you have to do?
I always tell people the most typical thing about a teenage thing about me is that I'm obsessed with Zac Efron, just like every teenage girl out there, and I want all the girls to know they're not the only one because I get it. And there's things that I'm like, you know, obsessed with like that, and I always kind of like, I try to make myself seem, you know, because I feel like people look at my life and all they see is like when I'm on the red carpet and, you know, in like the diamonds and whatever. That's not my everyday lifestyle. You know, that's for a few hours that I'm able to have that. And on, you know, that's when I'm performing again, it's just like an act, you know. And when I go home, I do have things that, you know, I have to do. I'm a neat freak as it is, but my mom is even more so. So I keep, you know, our house clean. I take care of my little sister all the time. And, you know, my mom made me drive my little brother to go get food with his friend the other day. Not that I didn't necessarily want to, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, was take him around and be his chauffeur all day. But, you know, it's like, it's just what you kind of have to do for, like, the people that you love.
So you're touring with your brother,
Yeah.
and you work with your dad. Do you ever have any desire, one of your fans wants to know, to just rebel and get away from the family?
I'm really close to my family. I've never felt like that. I'm sure at some point, me and my brother, we gotta stay out of each other's way. He's like out skateboarding, and I'm in here like hanging out with hair and makeup. You know, we don't really, there are things that we like to do. The one thing we have in common is music. Everything else is kind of opposite ends of the world.
And what is something that you haven't been asked that you wish someone would ask? Some question that you would like to answer, something about yourself or your music you'd like people to know?
I feel like people maybe don't ask me enough. They always seem to ask me, you know, about like the personal things that I'm going through, and not necessarily like why, you know, a song's important to me. I would love when they, you know, play a song on the radio or hear a song, ask me what inspired me. And I just want people to know, I think that for me, I told someone this the other day, if that like hour on stage is the most fun that I'm ever gonna have in my entire life. I have so much fun when I'm on stage, but it's also, I'm like sweating and I'm running and it's so hard. And you can't just do that for like the money of things, or for the, even just for like the popularity or for the name. That there's no way that any of those material things can drive you enough to get you through an hour and a half show. Like, the reason I really do it is because of like the fans, and because I want people to hear my music and know that what I say is true, and that I'm trying to get them through things in life that I've maybe been through, you know, and want them to learn from, and just to make people happy with the music that I sing. And, you know, I think that's mostly what I want people to know, is it's not for the attention or for anything else, because, to be honest, to get through that hour and a half, you have to have a lot more drive than something that's just materialistic.
So tell me about a song on the record that is just a really personal favorite of yours. It means something to you beyond maybe what we might guess from the lyrics.
There's a couple. The Climb is one that obviously is, I've heard so much, and especially, you know, I have kids that come in here that are from Make-A-Wish, or, you know, all these different like charities, and Get Your Good On, and like to hear how they've inspired them, that, you know, those kids go from 3 to 30, 40, 50. I hear people saying, you know, this has inspired me through my life, and that's something that every night when I have my in-ears in, I take them out and I listen to like the audience sing, and that just brings me like such joy, because it's not necessarily about, you know, the climb of success or the climb of this. It's about just like the climb of your life, and where you start and where you end up, and how you change as a person. And, you know, it's not really about like where you're going, because who knows where that's going to end up. You can't say it. It's about enjoying every minute of the journey.
And one last one, all those little girls and big girls who will sing along to your music and buy your records, if you could give them one piece of advice, what would that be?
I think, like, be confident in who you are, because it sounds like very cliche, but when I think back at things, the best time I had was in Tybee this year shooting my movie. And I think it's because when I came there, I literally 10,000 times a day would be like, do I look okay? Do I look pretty on the screen? Like, nervous, you know? And I feel like when I look back, when I walked out there, I was like, dear God, I wasted so much time and so much energy of my life being like, do I look okay? Do I this and that? And just be confident in who you are, because honestly, at the end of the day, even now, from months ago or something, where you feel like you weren't beautiful that day or didn't feel good about yourself, you look at that and you'll just be like, God, why didn't I enjoy that day? Because I could have had so much fun. And just remembering, like, keeping things in perspective, I think that's the most important.
That's great advice, Miley Cyrus. Thank you.